Greetings everyone, it is I, the future Godfather, and today, me and 7 other people are going to be ranking an album from an artist that deviated away from complexer styles to go for a more electro-pop and synth-pop aesthetic, resulting in such an emotionally charged album that made a notable impact on the EDM scene at the time, and for very good reason. Welcome to episode 17 of Robert's Recharged Megacollabs, where we're going to be ranking Porter Robinson's debut album from 2014, Worlds. Alright, so for this episode, we're just going to be ranking all of the original 12 tracks on the album, so the 10th anniversary edition bonus track, Hollow Heart, will be omitted, as is with any remixes. Other than that, on with the ranking. Kicking things off at number 12, we have Natural Light. This is basically a 2.5 minute interlude that doesn't give me that much to work with, but when it's on, I still find myself really liking this one all the same. I like how fairly punchy the drums are, as they greatly help its propulsive groove flatter these cool synths, and the twinkly qualities on these glockenspiel melodies were definitely a nice touch. Overall, this feels like this album's equivalent to Night Vision from Daft Punk's Discovery, and that despite it not warranting that much discussion, still exudes enough solid qualities to make it at least a very interesting moment on the album. So I can see why 2 people here did not put this in the bottom 3 like I did. Next at number 11, we have Hear the Bells. Definitely a not so interlude type track that I'm not as huge on as I should be, but given the quality of this album, it should not be a surprise to let you know that I think this is pretty good. I really like those sampled synths at the start, and Imaginary Cities do deliver their lines passionately enough to make this mildly enjoyable too. Even if the mixing on the chorus isn't the greatest, as the synths feel a bit too overpowered for my liking, that simply does make up for it to ensure that I understand the appeal more. Not going out of my way to call it a true highlight, but this one is nice. Next at number 10, we have Polygon Dust. And here's the first track where I can say that I actually love. What got this up a bit higher on my own ranking than most is the layering and compositional elements that both Porter and LeMaitre provide to make this a swift 3 minutes despite the compressed sound. That bass line contrasting with the drums and that memorable lead is damn near sublime, and the pianos and bombastic synths really do make this even more of an exciting listen than anticipated, especially when the latter comes in full swing to make the hook stand out. I got nothing much to say other than it's a bop. Next at number 9, we have Fresh Static Snow. And now we're on to, sadly, my least favorite track of the bunch. But like with Natural Light and Hear the Bells from earlier, I think this is also a good track at its core. The funky combination of the bass line and the vocoders at the beginning sound fine, the filtering synths bounce out the production well enough too, and while the Vocaloid vocals sound a bit goofy to the ear, at least Porter makes it so that they aren't that impractical to sing along with. Its worst crime for me is feeling like it drags a bit too long and not containing that much meat to chew on to make that length feel more justifiable. But at the same time, it doesn't inhibit me from calling this one a good listen. Next at number 8, we have Years of War. Oh boy, I think it says a lot where even a track that's ranked as low as it is can still be considered a classic in his catalog, because this one is so darn good. It checks a lot of boxes of being a solid number created during this era of Porter's career, including tasty melodies, groovy bass lines, a nice swell going from the verses to the choruses, and wonderful vocal performances from both Brian Doran and Sean Caskey that fit the tone of this song like jigsaw puzzle pieces. On top of that, the lyrics are written very well, especially with the first line in verse 1 feeling very personal for him as someone willing to leave the current EDM scene behind in favor of going in a brand new direction. It's not a track I come back to as much as my other favorites, but this is great stuff. Next at number 7, we have Flicker. Alright, on to the singles now, with this one in particular being my least favorite of the 4. And I can see that a few people in this video seem to agree. Look, I get it, it sounds way too silly for its own good, but I think it's meant to be silly and fun, so I don't mind it. The usage of the electric guitar nicely gives this one a funky edge, and I commend Porter for still using his bombastic production stylings to his advantage when the drops come in. Furthermore, while the Japanese spoken word vocals are the reason why this one sticks out from the crowd as being a bit odd, I think they contribute nicely to make this one all the more enjoyable or even quotable / occasionally memeable, which I can greatly appreciate when they also work well with not only the drops, but also with the overall aesthetic. It's a fun time for sure, and if you need a track from this album to turn your brain off to, I think I can argue that this one might be for you. Next at number 6, we have Lionhearted. A swell number with Urban Cone that, to me, is probably the most indie pop a track from Porter has sounded to date. I mean, I can point to the groove on these drums during the verses, which sounds satisfying as all can be, but those blips going up against these nostalgic-esque synths make for such an energetic mixture that sounds so undeniably indie, it's already pretty great. The way it transitions into the chorus, though, is also fantastic, where we're getting that typical drop we expect from him during this time, complete with blasting synths that actually perfectly sidechain against the production, and the lyrics are also catchy and fun in parallel measure, being inspired by the Space Invaders video game. Yeah, what more can I add to this? This is a total bop for sure, despite only kicking off the top half of this ranking. Next, at number 5, we have the closing track, Goodbye to a World. I am a bit shocked that this track didn't make at least the top 3, but this is such a spellbinder of a closer that I'm not complaining by any means. Where do I start with this? No, really, where do I even begin? It's really the best ending for a record that went so hard on emotionality that it could have possibly gotten. The first minute where the synths gradually get bigger in scope is amazing, but the way it just out of nowhere quiets down so that we're only left with these Vocaloid vocals and gentle plucks just gets to my soul like nothing else. Later, it goes into this progressive house drop, which also sounds as excellent as usual. But that ending where the aforementioned vocals straight up malfunction hit me in the feels so much that it nearly made me shed a tear. A really wonderful ending to Worlds that knows how to tell a story that people can resonate with. Next, at number 4, we have the opening track, Divinity. Like with how Goodbye to a World did a great job of being the omega to this album's plot, Divinity does a great job acting as a tone setter for what to expect, complete with cool vocal chops, hard-hitting drums, gentle-sounding kalimba melodies, and a beautiful vocal performance from Amy Millan that oozes sheer elegance and confidence. And of course, we can't forget about that trademark 2014 Porter drop in the middle, with those bombastic synths going along superbly with the production once again, but that high-pitched, almost arpeggiated-like synth later on really does make sure to up the ante in its energy, and it is just glorious. For being the longest track, it never gets tiresome by any stretch, and I respect that so much in stuff like this. Next, at number 3, we have Sad Machine. And here's probably the most iconic song on the album. I'm damn near 100% sure that this is one of the first tracks you think of when Worlds crosses your mind. And I think that's for good reason. I don't know if I can even provide much commentary to this one either. I think every single one of its strongest qualities has been laid out for us. Amazing chemistry between the Vocaloid singer and Porter himself? Check. Wonderful production and synths as per usual? Check. Sticky melody that never gets old? Check. Build-ups and drops that go in and out of each other excellently? Double, triple, quadruple check. It's another highlight on here for sure that really does get as anthemic and memorable as it gets. Next, at number 2, we have Fellow Feeling. This top 2 is so obvious that it really doesn't surprise me at all, but I'm glad this one is getting number 2. What's getting me the most about this track is the dynamics on display. The strings in the beginning that ebb and flow so naturally, the way the beat and synth slowly fade in, the lyrics reflecting Porter's feelings about the EDM scene, and that abrasive drop calling back to his Spitfire days, only to set it off so immaculately with a climactic prog house drop. Literally everything about it comes together to create such a beautiful story in wonderful, meticulously detailed sound design fashion that I can't help but completely be in awe of it. And finally, at number 1, we have Sea of Voices. Okay, I don't want to mince words with this one. This is not just my favorite song on Worlds. This is, in my opinion, his absolute, without a doubt, magnum opus. And I'm certainly glad a lot of us can at least agree on this being among the very best this album has to offer. This song is quite literally the definition of one big build-up followed by one big payoff. And I can't think of many tracks that can capture that definition quite like Sea of Voices does. Everything from the wind chimes, to the pads, to the occasional electric guitars, to the synth arps, do a spectacular job at not making me think too much, but rather just letting the overall composition of the music itself take me to the highest of highs that ever went high. But that drop 3 minutes in. I can't properly explain to you how good this drop is. And Breon Duran from Years of War coming back to sing us out and cementing this track's brilliance is just as satisfying too. Yeah, no words can describe my love for this track. And with this being the first ever single released for Worlds, this really was a great sign of things to come for his career later down the line. And even though this is an obvious number 1 spot, it's at number 1 for a reason. Okay, now let's move on to the average rating, and it's an 8.4 out of 10. As per usual, everyone's thoughts on this album, including mine, will be in the description and or pinned comment. Thank you for watching episode 17 of Robert's Recharged Megacollabs. Be sure to be on the lookout for episode 18, where we're going to be ranking Jimmy Eat World's Bleed American. The form for that will be linked in the description and pinned comment for those interested in participating. The form will be closed 2 weeks from today on September 17th, 2025 at 3 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Also, requests for the series will officially be reopened tomorrow, September 4th at 3 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. It's been over a year since requests opened, so I'm really excited to be doing that again. Finally, one more thing before the outro. As you may know, I started providing more commentary to these videos from episode 13 onwards. And while it was good to share my thoughts on these tracks for a change, I want to make it so that your reasonings on each track can take up the same spotlight as my own reasonings. So now, if you want to, there's an extra page on the forum where you can do that. And of course, I'll be reading aloud any and all reviews for each song on Bleed American that I can get in the next episode. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. If you liked it, be sure to give it a like, share if you want, and subscribe with notifications turned on so you don't miss videos like this one. You can also follow me on Blue Sky and Tumblr, or go listen to my original music on Bandcamp. Alright, that's it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, stay safe, and have a fantastic day.